Hello, everybody. So, we see this in the modern world all the time, particularly in workplaces, that free speech comes with consequences, unfortunately. And having your opinion comes with consequences too. And you see often people want to be anonymous online because they don't want people to recognise them or they don't want people to know who they are or where they work. And it's sad to see in the democracy that people are afraid. Obviously, just to say, members of the defence forces and Garda Síochána O'Connor shouldn't really have open political opinions. Should keep it to themselves because obviously you're defending the state, so you should be really apolitical, not really any side. That's obviously goes without saying. Just them two jobs alone. Every other part of society, you're entitled to express your opinions openly. But obviously, as a member from Garda Síochána O'Connor, the defence forces, you're supposed to be no political affiliation. But the main thing is, and this is just go for me too. I stopped caring. I generally stopped caring a long time ago about getting a top job or anything like that, or getting big allowances, or getting big money. So I just speak my mind. That comes to my detriment. For the rest of my life, I'd be blacklisted from any job, pretty much, to what I'm doing. You won't get a job anyway. Simple as that. That's just putting it straight because you speak your mind, you speak freely, and I speak unapologetically. Whatever I say is my opinion. And it's simple as that. I'm not going to bow down. I'm not going to say anything. I'm not going to give up my free speech. Because if you give up your free speech, you are nothing. As simple as that, you are nothing. You might as well become a shell. You might as well become nothing. Because that's, God give you the right to speak. And the only person who can take that away is God when you unfortunately pass away from this earth. That's the only way, in my opinion, that's the only time you ever lose your free speech, when you leave this planet. And it's so sad to see. You see it all the time online. People being politicised for their speech. Police turning up into a house. We see it recently in Ireland too. In the United Kingdom, it's a common occurrence. But it's unfortunate, and obviously the job stuff, it does blacklist. It obviously depends. Some things are really, some things people do say is a lot worse, obviously. But just even politicise, just even saying a political statement, that there's only man and woman take, for example. There's no other in between or outside or whatever. That can nearly land you in prison in some of the Western democracies, and all that. But it does affect you. It does affect your life and stuff. As I say, I'm blacklisted from a lot of stuff that I wanted to do. But that's what they do in society nowadays, unfortunately, in the West. It's all about trying to shut people up and not have people to have an opinion and to politicise the opinion. It's only the mainstream media who are allowed to do that. But it's important. It is important in a democracy that we don't silence people, that people are not afraid. And I think that's the main thing, not to be afraid. Because at the end of the day, your free speech is more important, in my opinion, than your job and stuff like that. Like I've made my bed with that I never get a good job and stuff like that. I don't really care, to be totally honest. Because again, the prosperity of the country and the opinion, because again, the country's in danger. This country is in a lot of danger in terms of sinister forces acting behind the scenes. And it's important to speak out, because if we say nothing, it'll achieve nothing, and they just get off with it. It's important to speak out, and that's what they rely on. They rely on fear. It's all about fear nowadays. Fear of losing your job, fear of losing your salary. And I say to people that it's a hefty thing, particularly nowadays with the cost of living. But the main thing is not to be afraid, and I think it's important, and that's why I always spoke out about everything. Many people sit silent, particularly young people, that are terrified to speak out if they go to colleges and all that. I see it every day. I know many young people who would say stuff, but they're absolutely terrified of losing their college place or affecting their jobs. Because, and particularly being on social media nowadays, it's very easy to come across. But, uh, it's important to speak freely. It's important to speak freely. It's important. You often hear about the importance of democracy and speaking and free speech and all that in Irish society and even in the Western democracies. But then when you speak out, oh no, you can't say that. That's you can't do that. You can't have an opinion opposite to the narrative. But it does have an effect on your job and stuff, because I see that all the time. But as I say, your free speech is the most important thing. Like it generally is. Because without that, we're nothing. Simple as that. You might as well never talk again, to be told. And so be told what to say and when to say and how to say it. You might as well live in China, to be told. And you might as well. But it comes with this too. It's important to defend democracy. It's important to speak out. Because something that Shannon Mountain, the woman behind me, said, if you don't do it, nobody else will do it. And that's the thing. If you don't stand up to the plate and speak out, nobody else is going to do it for you. If it's to do with the smallest thing or the biggest thing, whatever it may be. But the most important thing is not to be afraid, and it's true not to be afraid of anything, because at the end of the day, life is a gift. We're only here on a holiday. We don't know when that holiday ends. But it's important to have your opinion. It's important to speak your mind. Jobs and stuff will come and go. As long as you have enough to do, that's the main thing. And that's the way I've lived in life for the last 20 years. Because it's important. Because at the end of the day, I'm going to say what I think, regardless of whatever the state says. If it affects my job, so be it. But that's what I've done. And I think many people can attest to me on that I never really cared about what my employers think and stuff like that. I always say what I think, and I'm not going to bow down to them. And I always question them and question their authority and question what they're doing. And that's the main thing, that you question things. You don't sit there silent nodding the head because you're complicit really in that stage if they do something wrong, because it's important to speak out. But again, as I say to people, I understand people's fears, because it's all about fear. Like there's no doubt about it. It's all about fear of taking something away from you, fear of being, as I say, blacklisted or being crossed off, whatever it may say. I know that sounds even worse, crossed off and stuff. I think it was communist China that you'd be taken off to a gulag or something like that. But no, I can't tell you. But often people did ask me, like, what does my opinions and stuff like that, my opinions, imagine that in modern Europe in 2025, and in modern Ireland, does it ever affect my work and stuff like that? If I did look for another job, I probably wouldn't get it. Simple as that, because, you're not, even though I'm a hard worker, I will say that anybody would say I would bust myself. But it's all to do with your opinions. It doesn't matter. It's all about, and the same with employment now, it's who you know. It's not what you know, it's who you know. And if you're good, if you can keep your mouth shut and don't keep opinions, especially the public and civil service. Because I never was interested in the private service, just to say. It's always the public service serving the people of Cavan. And that was the thing. To my detriment, I suppose, in the same way. But maybe in the private service would be different. But yeah, as I say to people, use your free speech, because, and that's what we've seen in the last 20 years in Europe and Ireland too, that people become too afraid to speak out, and governments can take advantage of that, and limit your free speech. Because that's what's happening at the moment across Europe, across the world too, that people are losing the will to speak out and to defend democracy, defend free speech. And when you have nobody speaking out, governments can take advantage of that, because they can use fear against people. Fear of being in prison, fear of this, fear of losing your salary, fear of losing your job. It's all about fear. Like, it truly is. It's all fear factors. But yeah, let me know what you think. I know there's probably many explanations people could say online, because there's endless amount of things that have come up over the last 20 years to do with this. But it's important to speak, and I always said it even when I was on YouTube. It's not about me, it's about the people. It's about when I go, will the country be in a better situation, trying to make the world a small bit better, and that's always why I started YouTube, to make it even, if you can make a 0.5 difference in anything, you should do it. Because trying to make the world a bit better in a small way is better than no way. And that's what I deem it as. And that's the thing, and I suppose that's a good thing, I suppose. Let's put that way. Thank you.